Yo, what up, YouTube? Another journal update, basically. But so today's the 30th of December. I'm noticing I should have had a shave really before making the video, but the day's young, so still got plenty of time. Again, I'd like to give another shout out to everyone who's been supportive over the things I was saying about my situation with my daughter. I wish her a lovely Christmas season, because obviously Christmas is done now, and I missed her birthday as well, which were equally heartbreaking for me, basically. By the time I get to court, it's going to be like a year since I've seen her, basically. So I'm sure any parent will agree how hard that is. Now, my main thing I'd like to address really is something really needs to change in not the court system as such. I don't know, I'm not at that point yet. But the whole system when it comes to child safety and things like that, social services definitely has to change. I won't go into the details, but social services have been rubbish. What else? The mediation system, I can't really fault it as such, but both parents should have to engage in it. They shouldn't just be able to sort of like mess it around and things, which brings me to the police, because in my case, my ex-partner had been messing mediation around, dragging it out, and then when it came, push come to shove, she decided that it wasn't good for, no good for our situation. And then I think Easter had gone by in the meantime, and at this point I'd only not seen my daughter for about a month, roughly, and we'd left it a month, me and my parent, basically, because we thought we'd let my ex cool her head down, basically, so we went probably a month after Easter, I think, because I'm rubbish with dates, but it was like March the 7th when I last saw my daughter over the phone, and then it was like February when I actually saw her in person. So basically, we left it a month, so March, it must have been April when we went through. And we took the Easter presents for all the kids, basically. My kid and my ex's partner's kids, And we barely even got to the door, and my ex rang the police, basically. And then when they turned up, she reckoned that I were already undergoing, I forget what they call it, supervised contact, and lied about mediation to the police. None of this has been checked out, so the police never even did their checks right in that sense, so a massive failure on behalf of the police there. But basically, my little girl is the one basically that is missing out. Do you know what I mean? So she's basically, because me and my daughter had a beautiful bond, right? She used to get really excited to see her daddy, and this is going to affect her because it's her sense of security. I don't mean to waffle on about me stuff like, but anyway, so it's caused a real problem, basically, this whole situation. And it all boils down to my ex, in my opinion at least, not looking after my child right, which is why it all come to this situation in the first place. So basically, I'm trying to fight to just see me little girl at the moment, which is not right, because it should have been, how do I explain it? Like, it should have been dealt with between us as parents, really, to be fair, but some people just can't, what's the word? You just can't compromise, I guess. It's probably a better word than what I can think of, but some people just will not listen to you, basically. So if you've got concerns and stuff, it all gets turned around and twisted onto you. That's my point, basically. Or in my case, that's exactly what is going on. Now, I don't want to start pointing and calling names, but before all this, I didn't know what a narcissist were. Now, when we were still on speaking terms, me and my ex-partner, me being me, I knew there was something not right about this woman, right? So I googled what is a narcissist, because the word kept on cropping up, and she ticked every single box for me, So me being silly old me, I said to her, because I was trying to be helpful, and I was like, "Oh, I think you're a narcissist," and she absolutely flew off the handle. But now I realise that's exactly what this person is that I'm dealing with. So, yeah, I'm dealing with quite a bad one, basically, in that sense. But I'm trying not to point fingers. This is just my opinion. So it's a real tough situation, all this. But anyway, back to my journal stuff, because I don't want to just waffle on about my situation with child, what's the word, non-contact situation, basically. So yeah, long story short, she's stopped all contact with me. Once my mum had called social services, because my mum had witnessed a lot of this stuff herself, and she was concerned it weren't just me, basically. So anyway, here we are. I recently tried to stop smoking cigs. I've managed to totally give up cannabis, because number one, I've been wanting to stop for a long time, and having my daughter made me more determined than ever. And once I ended up in this situation, it really gave me the kick up the arse that I needed to sort my own life out. And although I've been missing my daughter, it's given me that bit of time that I needed to try and focus on my own problems, basically. Now, I recently gave up smoking cigs, and over the Christmas period, I've absolutely gone back and backtracked with the cigs. But I do plan to continue with it. It's really difficult. For me, I thought that stopping smoking cannabis would have been the hard part, because that's the only reason I got into cigs. But once that nicotine gets you hooked, it is hard. And I've learned a few coping mechanisms. I've probably discussed a lot of them in my journal videos, where I'm actually doing that, giving up the nicotine, basically. I think I did about a week, roughly, without a single cig. So for me, that's really good, because I was a chain smoker, and I'm definitely not. Even though I'm smoking at the moment, I'm definitely not back to being a chain smoker quite yet. So I need to sort, nip it in the bud before I get back to that. What else? My noisy neighbour from upstairs has finally buggered off. He sort of buggers off from time to time, and it's so much better when he's gone. So only reason I don't moan about him because he buggers off for months at a time. Well, I do moan about him, but I moan about him when he's here because he's just sort of boom, 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 stomps around all night long. And then I've got noisy neighbours next door, but I can cope with it when it's just one neighbour, basically. When the upstairs neighbour first come back, I were in the middle of trying to organise paperwork for going to family court and stuff, and it just totally knocked my sleep pattern out. Like I say, because it's all night. Which reminds me, I've still got, how do I explain it? With the family court thing, I'm trying to keep my case from going into a he said, she said argument, right? Because I don't want it to drag out for years. But nonetheless, I'm trying to organise my evidence into place so that I've got it in case I need it. Like, for example, I was suffering from, what's the word? I was a victim of domestic abuse in the relationship. Now, at the time, I didn't even know that you could do anything about that kind of abuse. This is my first time through this whole system, so it's not something, I was just dealing with it. Long story short. And when everything's gone to court, my ex-partner's trying to say that I was domestically abusing her. What it were is, I wasn't at all. I was quite the opposite. I used to bite my tongue and just let her have her rants and everything, because I knew that there was no point. You couldn't tell her anything, She knows better than everybody, basically, including the courts, apparently. So basically, I was biting my tongue, right? And when it's gone to court, in order to get legal aid, that's exactly what she said, that I were domestically abusing her. Now, the only time at all that I've been horrible to my ex-partner is when she stopped me seeing my kid. I said a couple of nasty things, but they were technically home truths. But yeah, it as you can imagine, it caused me to get mad and say a few things that I shouldn't have said. But at the same time, I'll be honest, I don't regret saying them, because I put up with so much crap for the whole time I was with her. And like I say, a lot of it, in fact, were home truths. And, so as much as I shouldn't have said it to the sort of the level that I'd said stuff, because, like I say, I was mad because of her stopping me seeing my kid. But, like, I've put up with so much worse, basically, over the whole period of time. So I need to organise my evidence. And along the lines of the relationship, I actually had one of my Facebook accounts hacked. And I'm not pointing fingers, but I do suspect my ex may have even had something to do with that, because there were certain messages where she was telling me that she was going to get abortions, she was going to dump my child on my doorstep, and all kinds of nasty messages that would have been really helpful for family court. But obviously all that's gone because I'd lost that account. But even on my more recent account, I've managed to dig up all the evidence that I'm going to need to counteract anything that she would say in a he said, she said argument. So, I need to organise it because we used to talk about all sorts. When we were on talking terms, we'd talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, basically. Another thing, I found this quite funny. When Kafkas were involved, and like I say, I'm not meant to really go on about this stuff, but as a dad, I need to get this stuff off my chest, and also for my own memory, because the court process takes so long, and my memory is terrible. I just, like I say, this is my journal, so it's personal, basically. Basically, what was my point? So, see what I mean? I'm forgetting already. Oh, so as when the first Kafkas report was done, she tried to say that I was a far right racist. Now, how do I explain it? First of all, my ex has got 2 half-caste kids. So how many people do you know that would start dating somebody that has 2 half-caste kids? Like half-caste Pakistani kids. Second of all, I've dealt with people from all walks of life, and I've had friends of all walks of life in my life. Some of which have been my best friends and stuff, over the years. And I've had just as many issues with white British people of what I have anybody else. Do you know what I mean? So, like, it's basically not the case. Now, also, I went to a Muslim school. I went to a 90 odd percent Muslim school where white British kids were the minority. So I just found it so amusing that she'd even tried to call me far right racist, basically. Now, the reasons why she had done that are because of this. Basically, we was discussing Tommy Robinson, and me being from the background that I've come from, obviously I've experienced racism towards me. I've even, in my younger days, just down the road from my ex's house, escaped a kidnapping attempt by a gang of Asian Muslims. I've witnessed the grooming gang stuff firsthand growing up too. So we were discussing Tommy Robinson, and when he was in a court case, he was going to court at the time. And what it were is, he happened to be going to York Court, which were fairly local to me. So what it were is, I said to my ex, because like I say, we were on speaking terms at this point, that I wanted to go and just sit in the court, because when you get them people that walking off the street and watch the proceedings, I wanted to do that because I just wanted to get. At the time, I didn't know I knew a little bit about Tommy Robinson. I knew what he were standing for, but I didn't know whether what the media were saying about him was fact, or because I know that media, the news and stuff tells all kinds of porkies if they want to. So I just wanted to go there and see what was said, right? Because I do agree with a lot of what he says, I like I say, I don't agree with racism of any kind. I find that as a white British, I've received a lot of racism in my lifetime. I believe in truly, being genuine and taking people as they come. no matter what your background is. I think that racism is just ignorance, long story short. Doesn't matter what your background is, right? So I wanted to go to this court hearing just to see what was said. I forget what they call it when you go to them. And I mean, even at the time when we was on speaking terms, it caused a bit of a, oh no, because my ex was saying that he's racist and this and that. But I never thought out of it, right? Because I was saying I probably won't get to it anyway, which I didn't. I ended up too busy in my own life because I were having health issues at the time. I was full on convinced that I had cancer. And if I remember correctly, I may have even been in hospital when that was on, getting a biopsy and stuff like that. Still, I'm having health issues. This is another worry for me with my kid, because I want to see her grow up. And obviously, being kept away from my kid is not good. It's not good for my health. You know, I find that stress and stuff drags your health down. And luckily, I was cleared of cancer. I've been cleared twice of cancer. I've been back because I weren't convinced. And as far as I know, they haven't found any cancer with me. But what I have noticed is when I was young, I used to be into sport, and I once ruptured my kidneys. And lately, my kidneys have really been playing up. And so I need to go back about that. But yeah, it's hard, man. And anyway, once I get this sorted, because the judge that I spoke to in family court was actually really lovely, and I'm hoping that she hears my next case, basically, next section, would it be section? Next hearing of the case, because she was hoping to get the whole case wrapped up on the second hearing. As long as basically, I don't want my ex to hear what I'm saying now, because she'll just be a knob and play things out. But basically, she's hoping that everyone's in agreement, which I do, so I can see my kid, basically. This is without it going into a he said, she said sort of situation. However, in a way, it kind of needs to, because all this started because I was concerned for my daughter's health, safety and well-being. She weren't being looked after by her mum right, basically. So I kind of need it to go down that line, because otherwise I'm not even back to square one. I'm like 10 steps backwards when I do see my kid. But as you can imagine, not seeing my kid for 10 months, I'm desperate to see her. So here we are, basically. And which leads me to the next thing. Basically, I want to, after this is done and dusted and I'm able to see my little one, and I did make it clear, though, in court when this were all said, I said, as long as I know she's safe and well looked after as well. And basically, once I'm able to see my little girl and I know that she's safe and looked after, basically, I plan to pursue better rights for mostly children. Children come first to me and to supposed to, at least, to family court. I mean, sometimes it feels a little bit in the mother's favour, but this is the problem. Now, I'm not saying out against mothers as a whole. I think there's some brilliant mothers out there. My mum is one, as an example. My mum, I've always known my dad and stuff, But my dad was a bit of a businessman, so he used to be on a plane 5 to 7 times a week sometimes. Whereas my mum really struggled to bring us up. And I think there was some animosity between my mum and my dad too, to be fair. More on my mum's behalf, I think, to be honest, now that I'm older. But basically, my point is that there needs to be true, genuine, equal rights for the parents. So basically, the children come before all of that, and there needs to be better protection in place for the kids too. Not just this that I'm hearing about. Oh well, social services think they're at risk, so we're going to come and put them in care, sort of thing. That's no good for anybody, right? I can understand putting them in care if there's true, genuine dangers that like are unavoidable, right? But like, there needs to be like, how do I explain it? Proper investigations into things when it comes to that, right? There also needs to be true, genuine, equal rights for the parents. So if one parent thinks that the other one's not doing their job right, they can step in and have just as much right to, for example, like, I mean, I couldn't have done it because, you know, I was shut out of my daughter's life over the phone. Didn't even get a chance to say goodbye. But I should have the right then to, like, I know you can't just walk into somebody's house, but in a situation like that, you should be allowed to. Like, you should be able to go to a judge, get a warrant like the police can, and go and take your children away if something like that has happened. You know, like if you've been parentally alienated for no reason, for example, you should be able to do that. You know, you shouldn't just be able to walk straight in, but you should be able to go to a judge and explain the situation, get a warrant, just like the police can for example, a criminal matter, and go and pick your kid up, you know, with a warrant. As far as I'm concerned, if the other parent is A, not looking after the child right, B, having dangerous people around that child, and C, parentally alienating the caring parent, you know, the caring parent should then be able to go to court, get a warrant, and go pick the kid up, basically. Long story short. You know, as long as they can provide evidence of it, obviously, you know. And also, in a situation like mine, if you have been parentally alienated just for trying to be a good parent, basically, you should be able to prosecute the other parent. And I feel that there should be a minimum of like a 2-year prison sentence for that other parent. And you know, it should go up to like 4 years or something like that. So I'd be happy to do that time if it were me who were a bad parent, for example. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so much stuff needs changing when it comes to A, child protection, and B, parental rights. And I'm gonna continue to fight for that because I truly believe that there needs to be stricter laws in place for the parents to follow. And above all, the children should be number one, you know, and put on a pedestal in all of this because they deserve it. So, peace and one love, YouTube. Thanks for watching.